Okay, let's get started. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming to the planning meeting for 6th of November, everybody. Public participation is the first item on the agenda. Mr. Barnes, are you wanting to say a few words? You have 2 minutes if you wanted to start.
So these are observations, really, which the committee can take whichever way they want to. This regarding the HSBC development 2608, okay, where they're intending to put 14 apartments on top of the regional bank site. So observation as follows. This is another no-car development for East Grinstead Town Centre, and as such, residents should not be allocated with Sussex on-street car parking permits, if possible. Okay. Secondly, access to the building for both waste and deliveries, and as far as I can see, everything else. The design access statement says that access is through the rear of the building. The transport plan says it's in the front of the building, and a more recent statement from the applicant of the 26th of October also says it's at the front of the building. Now, all of the household bins, etc., are going to be stored at the rear of the building, and therefore it's okay. It's all right. So what this means is that 14 waste bins are going to have to be taken effectively from the rear of the building to the front of the building, to across the pavement to presumably the refuse truck, which is going to be parked in one of the most busiest bus stops in East Grinstead, London Road there. I've measured it from the plan, and it's a 50-metre distance from the road to the waste bins. So they've got and it's through a corridor which is maybe 1.2 metres wide, and there's also 4 doors in that corridor, some of which I guess are going to be fire doors. So based on that, with the total 14 bins, that's 1.4 kilometres, and some of us will walk just to empty waste bins. And I think that will take between 15 and 20 minutes to do that. And that's going to be chaos not only to the pavement and the shoppers in the high street in London Road, but also to the bus stop and everything else. Okay. On top of that, with the new government regulations due to come in 2026, well, presumably they do, which means that councils will be committed to collecting food waste as well. So we're now talking about 28 wheelie bins that need to be moved. So I think if this application goes through, I think the committee need to encourage that the waste and deliveries ought to go through the rear of the property and not the front of the property. Now, appreciate that's probably going to end up with some negotiation with Boots, because it's Boots car park. But anyway, you know, 14 properties at 300 grand each, that's 4.2 million. They could afford to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great stuff. Item number 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence and substitutions. We have Councillors Mrs. Belsey, Councillor Mrs. Mockford, Councillor Scott, or absent through either personal reasons or illness. Can I ask everyone to note that? Thank you. So item number 2 is receive the minutes of the meeting held in October. If I could have a second for that, please. Thank you. Has anybody got any comments on the minutes? No. All those in favour of approving those minutes? Thank you. Item number 3.
I thought I want to say goodbye to Alan.
It was a 2 for that. Just,
Initial. Thank you, Chair. Sign that one.
Thank you. Item number 3 is to receive members' declarations of interest. Anybody want to declare anything? Councillor Whitaker.
Chairman, usual Mid Sussex District Council member of District Planning Committee, please.
And you reserve your right to change your mind.
Should any applications have-
Thank you. Awesome. Councillor Peacock. Thank you. Ditto for Councillor Peacock. Item number 4, Chair's announcements. We have been notified that Welbeck application is going to come through fairly imminently. We have got a website that they've put together, which I'll email to everybody with details of the development. We don't know. It could be in next month, in the next cycle, in 3 weeks. We don't know.
Chair, do we know if it's been validated?
We don't
No.
know that. We believe not, because Adam, I forgot his name, a gentleman from SP Broadway, he has emailed me a couple of times in the last few days, and his most recent comment was, I don't have a number yet.
Right.
So I'm guessing that means no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. So just expect that to come through. Also, we've been made aware of a new permitted development on Institute Walk, where there's a discussion with MSDC Housing and also the MP, as well as Sussex Police, to gather more information about that. Looking to discuss the number of one-person dwellings and HMO properties in the town, particularly in that area. It's very concerned with developments like that in the town, and the current state of antisocial behaviour in that area too. So it's quite an important meeting we'll have with relevant people on that one. And also last Thursday with Vice Chair, a leader and a clerk, the leader of district, we had a meeting with the district council, leader of district council, to start building that relationship up as well, which we see as a key relationship in this next civics cycle. As to, we talked about it quite in depth about planning matters that's potentially going to be affecting the town, and also it was a very productive, very positive meeting as well, and we are hoping to have more future meetings in place with Councillor Ogerstone as well. So that's very positive.
Well, that's really good, because it also follows hot on his visit to the full town council in early October, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that does show good intent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say the one key takeaway I think for this committee to know is the new district plan is coming out for Reg 19 consultation in January. So there's going to be a 6-week period of consultation in January. So I think that's just a bit of January reading for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Item number 5, delegated decision. I'm going to hand over to Vice Chair for that.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I attended the Mid Sussex District Planning Committee last Thursday, the 2nd of November, and presented on behalf of East Finchley Town Council on 9 Moreton Avenue, Moreton Road, in which case we had, as a Town Council, objected to that on a number of points, mostly around the over development of that site and various other matters to do with the height of the buildings and location of each of the plots. Unfortunately, having had the committee and Councillor Peacock was there also presenting on behalf of the local residents, having gone through 90 minutes of discussion. So just to make everybody aware, this was not a very quick decision. I think the committee took their time getting to that. Unfortunately, on behalf of the town and its residents, they did indeed vote for approval on a vote of 9-3, which was disappointing. However, there were a couple of caveats added to the, or stipulations added to the approval around ensuring an ecologist was appointed to ensure about the habitat as part of the development. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't go our way. But I do think this committee can at least draw some credit in presenting at that committee. I think the gallery was full of people, and I think it showed that we were represented there, both Councillor Peacock, myself, and other district councillors.
Thanks, Vice Chair. Thank you to you for going, and also thank you to Councillor Peacock. Sorry, Adam, yes, what I was saying.
Yeah, what I say is that myself as previous ward councillor to the district, we followed this from the start as the committee has. And I think on the day it was quite a, if you're a resident, quite a brutal meeting. It was the third application from freeing the site. First was in 2020. Eventually it was refused by Mid Sussex. It went to appeal, it was refused. What happened was, fundamentally it refused to appeal, but the inspector at the time said on a number of the sites, building dwellings, he didn't have an issue with them overlooking paddock gardens, but it was refused, and he did cite size and scale and design of the building. It went through to a second application that was refused by Sussex. It went through to a third, which we refused. It then went through to the application that was reviewed last week, and traffic, parking, ecology was not an issue at the end of the day. It had never been cited as an issue, so it was focusing on DP 26, policy 26 and EG3. And what effectively happened was, my argument, Councillor Pond's argument, the residents' argument, was it was the height, the overall scale and design of the whole application on the site.
Yeah.
What the officers recommended to committee was that basically, because the inspector did not comment on the height of the original application, where the building height was 9.3, I think 9.2 metres, and it had been reduced to 6.5 in this application, it was basically not a reason for refusal. I disagree with that personally, as do the residents, and I'm sure we on this committee do. And it all stemmed down to plot 2 in the west corner of that site, house 2. And that was cited as a reason for refusal for the second application by Mid Sussex. The second application didn't go to appeal, it was just refused. And the question put to committee was, do you think the changes made to plot 2, which had been made by the applicant, were reasonable and met the issues outstanding? And really, I have to say, there was very little place for them to go, to be honest, because it goes to appeal, costs potentially awarded. And on balance, after an hour and a half, as Councillor Pond said, it was refused. So I think it was very good. An hour and a half was spent on it. It was quite a robust discussion going on why height and scale generally weren't applicable. So I think residents are frustrated, but I think from this committee, Councillor Pond attending there, and then Mid Sussex councillors, I think they should feel as though they've been well represented.
Yeah,
It was tough. I've been on planning at Mid Sussex for a while now. It's one of the toughest I've experienced. But thank you for allowing me to.
no, that's right. No, thank you for your efforts, and I know that it didn't go unnoticed with the residents. I know that they're fully appreciative of the efforts and work that was put in. So thank you to you both for that. Can we note those decisions, please? Noted. Thank you. Item number 6 is just to give you something else to note on. It's an appeal, AP 230054, which was Florin Farm, Hopfast Hill. We had no specific comments or objections to this one, but it was refused at Mid Sussex. So it's just really to note the appeal, and we did not object, but there is little for us to now object on. So just please, if you wouldn't mind noting that, chaps. Thank you. Okay. Item number 7 is licensing application. As per, we would normally just refer this to the licensing officer at Mid Sussex. It's LI 231563, Anish's Budgets, 5 to 6 Parade, London Road, which is change of hours for opening and sale of alcohol, and it's to remove the embedded conditions. I would say I'll put that to the licensing officer. Can I have a second? Thank you. All in favour of that, please. Thank you. Okay. Item number 8 is protected tree applications. Once again, we have a recommendation to just en bloc refer these to the tree officer. I only have one comment personally on that one. It's the felling of the oak at Farm Close. That seems quite a severe action to be taken for one of our homegrown species. So I would like a note to be put through to the tree officer to say that the, you know, asking what the conditions are was referring to that felling of that particular tree. I don't have any others though. Would anybody have any comments?
Same comment.
Okay, so all those in favour of putting that through to the tree officer on block, thank you very much. Okay, our first application is DM 232605. It's 18 High Street, East Grinstead. It's 2 entrance doors to access the retail units on this particular unit in the on the high street, at the top of the high street. It's been with us before. It's had a few changes at that entrance. It's the one that used to be the little hairdressers and the estate agents, if you remember. And I think it's now, is it a restaurant?
Yeah, I think
No, I don't know.
it's the one next to the East Grinstead Glass.
Yeah, that's it.
On the right hand side.
Yeah. So you can just see that the location there is marked in red. And the reason I put this in is because it's in the conservation area. So I just thought it'd be worth a discussion with us all here, purely because of that. We just want to be making the right decision for it. So you've got the current picture of what it looks like at the moment, and you can see that the entrance is a dual entrance where the figure 18 is located. And what they're looking to do now is on the right hand side is put doors into those windows effectively. It looks like it's being done sympathetically with what they've got at the moment, but I don't know, and this is an artist impression for everybody to what it would look like. So that's all there is.
There wasn't much.
No. Would anybody like to take this on?
Well, I did. It's in my ward.
Go for it. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I had a look at this one. I personally think that anything we can do to encourage business in the town that isn't overly detrimental is a positive. That the fact they're going to make this something that, and it was unclear actually to the point the chair made as to the use. It appeared to be kind of maybe a restaurant. Is that looking on the application form? I thought it was kind of, I could envisage whether this is the case or not. They actually could be sort of an open dining kind of in the summer, the doors open, let the air in, and I think that's kind of in keeping, if I'm perfectly honest, in what we would like to see at the top of the town. So I had no overall objection to this. I thought it was in keeping with what they're looking to do. And again, anything that encourages not to overly detriment of the existing sort of high street look, I thought was all for it. So I really had nothing. There was no objections I could see on the portal. In fact, it was only one page, which was quite a relief for most of them we see. Yeah.
So we have a proposal for approval. Second for that. Thank you very much, Councillor Whitaker. Anybody else got any comments? No. I think actually it's pretty sympathetic, and I can kind of see it makes a lot more sense having a door into each office as well. So yeah, I think it looks good, subject to obviously the conservation officer's comments and review. But although Councillor Whitaker.
Yeah, just an overall comment. You know, we're all aware of the pressure on our high streets, and you know, for businesses to be flexible and to pivot and to, you know, and to move on, albeit in a conservation area, which, you know, the conservation area officer will be all over the materials, but that clearly divides the 1 unit into effectively 2 areas to let. So
yeah,
the overall benefits are greater than, you know. I think so. I completely agree with Councillor Pond.
Yes, I mean obviously it's splitting it into 2 offices now as well, rather than one.
More of these down the track.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, office space for small businesses is at a premium at the moment anyway, and I would imagine that they would be very popular.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So all those in favour of approval, thank you very much. Great stuff. And tonight's main attraction. Next up is DM 232608, 38 London Road, East Grinstead, the old HSBC Bank. It's a partial conversion of the ground and first floor and upwards extension to the existing building to provide 14 residential apartments. We've got one objection on the portal. It's a, in inverted commas, another flat complex, and there's no disabled access to the flats. A step to the front door mirrors the comments from Disability Access Group, although that has been amended today because there's a disability access statement now within the design brief, and we believe there is a lift being put in. There is a comment in support as well that the resident thinks that multi-use residential over retail is good for the town. So I'll take this on, give us a go. Basically, that's what it looks like at the moment. So it has got offices above the unit as it stands, and that's what it's going to be looking like from the front. And interestingly, the second image on the right-hand side, I think, puts it in a bit more perspective in relation to the other buildings as well. You've got that as a design drawing of what it would look like in terms of the proposed rear elevation on the right and the front elevation on the back. Oh, it's a step design going back from there, as you can see there. You can just see at the back there the step design on the left image. And that's what it looked like as a slice of what it looks like across the road as well. So you've got Martell's across from that. That's the building on the left and the proposed building on the right. And then there's some design issues on that. One thing, the ground floor is on the left-hand side. And where Mr. Barnes was talking about is the bins are at the back, which is at the top of that drawing. And there is a door at the back with it's what seems like access. And Town Clerk, have you got the clicker? Thing. Sorry, just make it a little bit easier.
So is that the white? So if we look at, we think the gap between the grey and the white at the top is actually an access.
Yeah, so the bins are here, and you've got a door here. You've got access, what seems to be access there. I think Mr. Barnes had a good point. I think, you know, you definitely don't want those bins going right down through there onto the high street and then be out on the high street.
Yeah.
So
That's the issue.
yeah, so that definitely needs clarification.
Well, and or condition.
Or absolutely. Generally speaking, the apartments seem to be of pretty decent size, and there is precedent within the town. You've got Superdrug, and you've got potentially Robert Dias, above Robert Dias, came through a few last year as well.
Well, the Edinburgh level got consent 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it's,
so really, it's whether, you know, what do we feel about it in terms of aesthetically, in terms of design, and in the town. So I'm going to put a vote for approval, subject to some of those conditions. If I could have a second. Thank you, Councillor Whittaker. I open it up to the floor. Councillor Peacock.
I wouldn't support this. I can see in theory why you would. I mean, first of all, I'd say from the outset, I do support mixed retail and residential use. I'm a big supporter of the redevelopment of Martell's, the other side of London Road, up to Budwick Smith. The key issue there for me in this application is the design. The other side of the road, it was uniforming the roofscape and the look of London Road and enhancing it with dormers and I forget the Dutch name for habitable roofs.
Yeah, this is Martell, the new building at Martell's. Yeah.
But it went all the way up to Budwick Smith effectively, and it improved the screenscape. When we look at the other side of the road, where this is, I think everyone would agree that the actual roofscape is a hodgepodge. It's not uniform. There's no unity in design, and I would say even from that you can see the top row of flats are set back from the front elevation. And even, okay, there's been applications approved left and right. I would say this is a one-off development. This isn't going to happen again for another 50 years. And we should be looking to improve the roof scope and the general street scene of that side of London Road. The other side, I think, looks very good. It's been improved over probably about 10 years. This, to me, I think, is minimising construction costs in terms of how they beautify the elevation. And it sets no precedent for any future development that side of London Road, irrespective of what applications have been put forward and approved. So personally, there's a motion on the table, so I won't propose it, but I will be voting against this. And I would simply state EG3, DP26, but importantly from the design guide, I would focus on DG32, managing increased density in town centres, and it's all partly that's to do with height and how it transitions into surrounding buildings. I would personally focus on DG38, design buildings with architectural integrity and a sense of place, and I don't think that does on its own. And also DG39, which is delivering appropriately scaled buildings. But I understand I may be swimming against the flow, and I understand wanting to get additional residential units and really life potential into a high street. But for me, I won't be supporting it. I think it's the minimum they could have done. Even the materials they're projecting to use don't look particularly good to me. I think you could argue it's in line with the building next door, Clark's, but it's not, certainly not in line with Boots. I know that's been approved, but for me, I would vote against it.
Thank you. No, robust rebuttal of the approval. Councillor Pond.
Yeah, I'm kind of sat on the fence a little. When I first saw this, firstly, I thought it was 3 stories on the front, and I was vehemently opposed to that, given that that would set a precedent for everything. Could I just ask for those, I was not on the committee when the, was it the Boots approval? So is that for an extra, a second story?
Not Boots, Edinburgh Woolen.
Two stories above that.
2 stories above it.
And that's purely because it's directly behind.
Similar to this.
It's
Fine, 2
behind
stories, but
Queen's
one, the top floor set back.
Yeah.
So in other words, if that's been approved, this would be improved, that would be consistent with that.
And bearing in mind the road slopes steeply there. Down. So it's
So
building
that-
stagger down.
Yeah.
So stagger down, so in fact, that
The roof
would be,
line.
so arguably the Edinburgh Wooden Mill would even be more imposing than this one. And sorry I know we're talking about, I hadn't appreciated there was one literally.
So what you've got, this is so the Edinburgh Woolen Mill is
Yeah.
here. So what they're saying is it's going to be staggered, but it'll be a lot. It will be a similar height to the HSBC building.
And I'm sort of with Councillor Peacock. If we can try and improve that side of the high street with a design that is improves that. And I would sort of argue, interestingly, the picture on the right makes me think Boots looks better than the picture on the left, which is, and actually the picture on the right makes me think how Martell's and the other buildings are on the opposite high street. The question is, and apologies, I keep pulling this back to the Edinburgh Woolen Mill. Do we know what style that was? Because again, what we don't want to do here is object to the style here, get them to change it only for it to be out of keeping with what was approved.
Edinburgh Woolen Mill is similar to Queen's Walk.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
It is kind of in between, almost in between the two. To be fair.
It's a different.
It's almost that style, but in that colour.
It's a different brickwork. I have to, Councillor.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, I'm going to take council because it's very, very good. You're looking at street scene. There is a precedent set by the Edinburgh Woolen Mill, urban designer and officers at Mid Sussex will be cognizant of trying to keep continuity. And I think whatever decision we reach, certainly if it goes to approval, we request the officers to consider the continuity of the street scene in terms of materials, and architectural style.
Absolutely. My only comment on that is that those windows look really quite large, and I think that's one of the reasons why it seems to be quite a lot higher in relation to the other buildings.
I Thanks, Chair. I just think if they've gone the extra mile and proposed a roof design similar to what exists with Boots now, it would just set a better precedent going forward for future development. Because, you know,
Yeah.
they've started that side of the road. One doesn't have to be a rocket scientist or be intellectually compromised to suggest further development applications may come in.
Yes.
And, you know, we should all be striving, cost within reason, to design the best buildings we can. So,
Sorry, Chairman, just coming again, obviously, the district council has a design guide, particularly which there are a lot of examples within that from East Grinstead. So, you know, it would have to pass, be compliant with the SPD of the design guide.
Yeah.
Which is part of the district plan policy.
Yes. Absolutely. It's just Councillor Gibbs.
Thank you. My initial concern is with the elevation. And I think in the second image we had photograph, it's quite apparent how the disconnect. The resident who spoke in favour, that's a good point about using space and above units for residential use, which is important. But I think I'm rather like the point on the bit of defence because yeah, I feel like the design in itself, the idea isn't a bad one, but I feel like the design yeah, wouldn't be in keeping, and perhaps we can have a look at that.
Yeah, we need to go to a vote.
Just send, you can actually just send comments rather than actually making a firm approval or rejection if you so wish.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pond.
I think, and I've mentioned this before, but we've got 14 units here, one with one, some with two, some with three, so we're looking at 10, 20 residents here. I think we just want to make a note again about the car parking situation. And I know this cannot be a reason to reject, but I would like it noted that, again, we talked, and we did indeed with the chair of leader of the district council around the car parking in the town, and the fact that, again, we see more people either parking, using up parking spaces. I would like it noted that that, again, is yet another development, and I'm all in favour of flats and a, you know, more local, again, less travelling, more in the city centre development, but it needs to recognise that people do have cars, not necessarily everyone, but, and we're seeing increasing number of these come through, even since I've been on the committee since May. This is like the second or third. You know, again, keep multiplying it up. We already see streets being parked on after 5 PM because there are only single yellows, or there's no traffic wardens out. You know, this is going to be yet another, say, circa 20 cars probably.
Okay.
Do you want a condition that, as Mr. Barnes suggested, that the district do not allow permits to be issued to residents of this building?
Thank you, Town Clerk, for that difficult question.
I don't think you can.
Well, thank you for get out of jail free card, Councillor Whitaker. Thank you for that.
I mean, ultimately, you know,
got the car park, so that's
yeah.
the thing.
I think this is my issue. It's more about increasing car parking provision to enable developments like this than it is about restricting the ability for people.
The idea is that you shouldn't, because you're in a town centre,
You shouldn't even.
you don't need a car. That's the thing.
Sorry, Chairman, I might just come back on the car parking issue. I know the district council are looking at the Queen's Road car park because it's the busiest car park in the district, number-wise, statistically, commercially.
Yeah.
Therefore, I know that in the medium long term, as part of their car parking strategy, they are looking to potentially expand the numbers
Thank you.
of that car park.
Yeah. Yeah, we can make a note of that. Although actually, when we spoke to the
It's just
chair,
context for council.
it was said completely the opposite.
Yeah.
But that's very
district
Yeah,
colleagues obvious, because
yeah.
Leader was not aware of this.
Officers are aware.
Yes.
It was a priority.
No, I'm sure.
Focus of study, the last administration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very few.
We have a vote. Sorry, a recommendation for approval, but I'm very happy to change that if that is something that we're going for a vote for the approval first.
With caveats, Chair, or with the or without on the design.
What I've got so far, Chair, if it helps.
Thank you.
If it helps, although there is no one way or the other, I'm kind of waiting to see which way we go. The committee of 6th of November had some concerns as to where the refuse was to be collected from and want a condition that the refuse must be collected from the rear of the building. There was concern as to the design of the frontage. It's not uniform and looks a bit messy. The principle is accepted, but the design is not good and does not enhance the sight of London Road. The design guide DG 32, 38 and 39, along with EGNP3 are a concern. The urban design officers are asked to work with the applicant to see if this can be improved. The committee note that town centre is at capacity with car parking, and this will exacerbate that further.
Okay, yes, thank you. I would prefer to vote for a refusal, but we need to vote on the approval, really, and I won't be offended if you all vote against me. So please don't worry. So
those in favour?
who's in favour? Who's in favour? Okay, thank you. So we have a second recommendation for.
So you're going to do those against?
And those against. Sorry, yes,
Just
thank
in
you.
case they were sitting on the fence.
Thank you,
actually.
thank you, Councillor Whittaker. Good call.
So,
If we were two of us, we're sitting on the fence.
Absolutely. So no, that's
Motion is
fine, and I'm
seconded.
certainly not taking it personally.
and you need a new motion now.
And we need a new motion. So we have a vote for refusal. Can I have a second for that? Thank you very much. Based on the comments that we've made very much on what the town clerk's already issued. Does anybody else have any further comments to make with regards to that? All those in favour?
Oh, sorry, Chair. We did make sure with comments about the refuse bins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's all sorted. Great stuff. So all those in favour of refusal, subject to those conditions, obviously. Thank you. That's carried. Was it all three? Hold on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And
majority.
against. Well, got there in the end.
Democracy in action.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Thank you very much. The next meeting is 27th of November. And the time now is 7:48.
Stop sharing.
It's one of those, I think we all want the same thing, it's just how
Still recording at the moment.
The chances are it
Oh, you
would
can
be
stop.
approved by the